Save the Semantics, episode 167. It is January 23rd, 2022. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. And it is also, once in a while, it can be the premier one-stop shop for NBA news and analysis. Last week was a bit of a doozy. And I went over some of the issues that I was having. This week I'm feeling a little better for sure. I think, again, it's just sort of ups and downs as they come. On like a weekly basis, It's a little hard to, looking back on things, like if you look back, I don't know, say like maybe a year or something like that. If you look back, you don't really think about what happened on like a specific week that much, right? A lot of it's sort of like month, like, oh, that month was pretty rough, or, it's hard to look back on days, especially because for, certain things, not so much or so much could have happened within that single day. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, it's just, last week was just one of those weeks. So I just wanted to kind of vent a little bit, get some things off my chest. And here we are this week, feeling a little better. I know that, again, this is a temporary thing. It's not going to last. Whatever mood or whatever feelings or thoughts that I have during a specific period of time, like, it's just always going to be kind of just, passing through. It's never permanent. So yeah. I'm feeling better. This past week, what have I done? Work, typical work, and just kind of going through the motions, I guess. I can't even really think of anything specific that I did that necessarily like alleviated my mood or anything like that. It's just that whenever I'm definitely feeling a lot more clear-headed. Like when I'm in those ruts, like I was, it's very hard to, like, for one, I don't really talk in depth about, I don't really talk super in depth about what issues that I might be dealing with. And along with that, I also have a difficult time trying to describe how I'm feeling or whatever. So it may be difficult. Like, I can understand what I'm saying. Like, if I play back what I recorded earlier and listen to what I was talking about, I can be like, okay, I can see where my headspace is at. But for just like a random listener, it's like, you can kind of have an idea of like what they're going through, but it's a little hard to actually understand what they're fully processing, right? So yeah, it's just hard to kind of explain, right, like what the fuck is actually like going on and everything. So I definitely feel a lot more clear-headed now today, and I have I just have things that I want to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's talk basketball. This past week's been pretty wild. Like, there hasn't been anything super crazy that has happened. I think the most noteworthy thing that occurred during like a game was like that Grayson Allen foul on Alex Caruso. That just blew up. It blew up on Reddit, on NBA Reddit, or Reddit NBA, our NBA. It blew up on NBA Twitter. It was fucking wild, man. Like it was just so like Grayson Allen has a bit of a reputation in the past. In college, when he played for Duke, he was kind of known as a bit of a dirty player, just in terms of how he fouled people and stuff like that. And I don't really know too much about his career. Really, I know he played Memphis before he was signed to the Bucks, but like I'm not like trying to uh, argue for the guy or anything like that, but it doesn't seem like he's really had too much of a past, too much of a history in the NBA of committing dirty fouls. Like not to the extent of someone like, I don't know, Patrick Beverly or like Marcus Morris, or or both Morrises. Really, like he doesn't have that kind of history. So I think it's just that college past that's kind of come back to haunt him a little bit. And yeah, that was a pretty bad foul that he committed, right? I think it definitely got a little out of hand though. And I feel for Caruso, and I feel for the Bulls. Like that's a fucking shitty thing that they had to go through. But just kind of the response to not Grayson Allen in particular, but like sort of like the Bucks media has been kind of shitty. Like I just kept seeing on like my Twitter timeline it wasn't the Bulls, it wasn't the Chicago Bulls. I think it was like NBC Bulls. So I think it's like the Bulls like media networking, the ones that run like local coverage of the Bulls. Like they were just like they were just fucking shitting all over the Bucks and everything. Like it's like understandable, but it's also like it was also to a point where like, hey, let's just kind of relax a little bit. Like obviously we're all mad. I'm less mad because I'm not exactly like a Bulls fan, but as an NBA fan, it sucks to see this shit happen, so it's upsetting. But like also like it was, for them, it was turning into more than just like, hey, what Allen did was shitty, and what you did to Caruso was unacceptable, right? Like that's fine. But then it was like, I think the Bucks media messed up, and they posted like they posted a GIF of like Allen eating like a donut, which is like, okay, like I understand there's like a lack of foresight on their part, but I feel like they could have maybe, like, it was like a scheduled post or something like that. You could have just, come on, like let's look at the facts and the circumstances surrounding it. So it was just it was like NBC Bulls were like going after like the Bucks Twitter, and they were just like shitting all over them, and it was just kind of like, all right, this is just going beyond what the initial thing was. This is just kind of turning into you're just kind of stirring up drama in a sense, right? And it's going beyond like what the initial issue was, right, which was the foul, and it was a play, right? And I think it was, yeah, I don't know, I think if I feel it's really shitty, it's really shitty what happened to Caruso. I just think it might have been blown in proportion a little bit. I don't know, is that a hot take? Like I feel like some people will be like, oh, you're just you're like being a Grayson Allen apologist. No, I'm not. Like nobody you know what I mean? Like nobody's fucking, I don't know, man. It's just sometimes it's just sort of like it really is just a lot of things just getting kind of thrown into the mix, and it's really hard to sort of have like a reasonable conversation, because I understand there's a lot of emotions and a lot of perspectives involved. So it can be kind of hard to like sift through that and be like, wait, hold on, obviously this is not a great moment, this is not a great situation, but like let's kind of, let's take a step back a little bit, but yeah, hopefully Caruso gets better, man. Hopefully he recovers soon. The Bulls are better with him on the floor. Like even when he was on the Lakers, like he was also like a very exciting player. Like and coming from a Warriors fan, I think that should tell you a little something. I think he's a good player. He's fun to watch play. So hopefully he gets back. Hopefully kind of the Bulls can kind of regain sort of their position. I know they sort of faltered and everything recently, but yeah, I think nobody really expected them to be at the position that they were. Right now they're not the first seed. Right now they're the second seed, I believe, behind the Nets. So it's just they've gone like above and beyond expectations. Like people were kind of people were sort of predicting that they were just going to be a play-in team and not a legitimate like title contender. I don't know, you could argue whether to put them in that category alongside like the Nets and the Bucks, but still they've definitely proven themselves to be a very good team. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see where they go. Hopefully they make like a nice hopefully they make like a lengthy playoff run. I think it'll be exciting to see them in the later rounds playing against some of the better teams. So yeah, rooting for them, up until the finals when the Warriors, if they ever meet up with the Warriors. So yeah. What else on the NBA side of things? Speaking of the Warriors, they've gone through some bumps recently. I mean, it was kind of the case last week as well. They had a pretty bad loss against the Pacers on, was it Friday? No, I think it was Thursday. They had an overtime loss to the Pacers, who are missing their entire starting lineup. So it was a pretty bad loss. They were essentially playing against a bunch of G Leaguers and 10-day contract players, and they lost. Nobody besides Curry was playing well. So it was just a bad team performance. And it was just a shitty loss. And of course people get so reactionary, man. Like whenever we lose, it's always just like, man, Kerr doesn't know how to do rotations. And admittedly he didn't make good rotations during that game. Like I think he should have played Kuminga a little bit more. He should have tried to, I feel that, I don't know, it was just not, I think they were just kind of struggling to put together any points toward the end of the they should have fouled, right, the 3-point shot before Holiday made that game tying shot. So yeah, it was just kind of a shitty loss, but people just kind of blow it out of proportion, like all the time. Like anytime the team loses, it's like, man, we're fucking shitty, dude. It's like we just had one bad loss, and it's just people just can't accept that. They're like, no, we have to win every game. It's like, that's not gonna happen, right? So that was that, and then on the back end of that sort of back to back, they played against the Rockets, which was a little too close for comfort, but out of that we got Curry's first buzzer-beating game winner, which is pretty crazy. He's had other game winners, but that was his first buzzer beater. And I'm happy that I saw that live. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. They needed that win, because I feel like if it went into overtime again, oh man, That's rough, dude. It's kind of, that's kind of a loss in itself if you're going into overtime with the Rockets. Like, man, dude. But they pulled it off, so and that was exciting last possession. Let's see what else. I think that's it for on the NBA front. I wanted to talk about this movie that I watched last night. This is the first time that I kind of went to watch a movie by myself in a minute, and that's kind of something that I've been missing out on. So I had a little bit of time to myself, and I'm like, why not? Just there's not, I have a little, why not take advantage of it before I get super busy. And there wasn't really anything I saw that was sort of worth watching, just kind of on like first glance. I already saw Spider-Man, and all the other ones were kind of like, I don't really care too much. Like, there was like a new Kingsman movie, but apparently that didn't look super great. The sequel I heard was pretty bad, so I was kind of put off by that. I was like, I love the first Kingsman, but I just haven't, just from what I've heard, the others haven't been up to the same level as the first one. So I haven't really watched or cared to watch either of those. So I stumbled across this one anime movie that's showing in theaters right now, which is pretty surprising. I was like, I didn't expect, like, the last anime movie that I remember showing in theaters, and I'm still kind of like I'm still kind of like hitting myself for not watching it, was the Demon Slayer movie. I wish I saw that in theaters. I think that would have been really good and really fun time, but I think it was still during a period of time where like COVID was kind of bad. I don't remember I think vaccines were out at that time, but I was still sort of, there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, obviously there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but especially then I was a little more uncomfortable with going out and about, since I don't think I was fully vaccinated at that time. And so the movie I watched was this anime called Belle. It is, how do I even describe this movie? It's I'll give an overall, I'll try to give, it's hard to really break down without, man, there's a lot to talk about. I'll give my overall feelings. I liked aspects of it. I liked certain things about the movie. Overall, it's a bit of a mess, and I don't know if I would really recommend it to anyone. You know what I mean? If you're not sort of a hardcore anime fan, and if you're not, and if you care more about, say, the story and the characters than, say, the animation, then it's not something that I would necessarily recommend. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed parts of it, but overall it's a bit it's a bit of a mess. So I'll kind of break it down a little bit. I'll try my best to summarize the plot. So essentially, this anime it's a combination of like a slice of life anime, high school anime, and then also like this fucking just like fantasy anime with just like other aspects to it, if you kind of understand where I'm coming from. The main plot, I will try my best to give a summary, is there's this high school girl who she's dealing with a lot of insecurities, and she there's kind of like a dead mom trope. She lost her mom when she was young, so she has a lot of like, attachment to her, and so from that point on, from when she lost her mom, she's just been unable to kind of really live, live a live a relatively happy life. You know what I mean? So she's been dealing with that for the majority of her life as a child. And then so in high school, she stumbles across this. Essentially, it's the metaverse, right? Like it's like this metaverse or Second Life sort of thing, where you can enter in as an avatar, and you can essentially lead a second life, right? That's sort of the main premise. And she kind of discovers pretty much immediately that she has this like ability to sing and stuff like that. And so she sings a song, and then it goes viral, and then she's now kind of this like pop superstar in this fucking AI realm, or this this social media platform where you're represented by an avatar. And yeah, that's sort of like the main idea. The additional sort of aspect to it is that it's also a Beauty and the Beast story. And that's where it kind of gets a little, I don't want to say convoluted, because like the main plot itself is not that difficult to understand. It's just that there's a lot of things that are kind of packed into this movie that I feel didn't necessarily aid a whole lot in the story. I like the main idea of the main character, rediscovering herself through this avatar and music and everything like that. And I feel like there could have been a little bit more commentary on the fact that she was essentially pretending to be something that she wasn't, right? She's just, in real life, she's sort of like, a normal girl, a normal high school girl. And then in this Second Life world, she's like this beautiful singer. And so, I think there could have been a little bit more like commentary on that. The issue, I think, is that they were trying to combine these two stories of her character and her growth, and then also this Beauty and the Beast story. And it's like, it just didn't really work for me. I was reading up a little bit on some reviews online, and some people seemed to love it. Apparently there was like a 14-minute like standing ovation for this movie at Cannes, and I was like, I don't know if it really deserves that. I think let me talk about some of like what I liked about the movie, some of the pros of the movie. I think the animation is beautiful. It's a gorgeous movie. I think it's really just it's very stylistic. I love how it's done. I really like the contrast between the reality, which is standard kind of 2D animation, and then contrast it with the Second Life world, where virtual reality, where it's like 3D, and it's like 3D rendering. I don't know what else to call it. 3D, computer animations mixed with 2D 3D models. if you look at like the if you just took like a teaser of the movie, you'll understand what I mean. But I like how the styles contrast. I think it kind of lends itself to sort of like you have this very kind of vast and nebulous world in the virtual reality, as opposed to 2D, where it's it's a lot more static. There are a lot of, it feels very quiet whenever we go back to reality, to the real world. It's a lot more, it feels a lot more calm it's a lot more quiet. It also kind of helps that the story takes place in sort of a rural small town Japan, while the virtual reality takes place in this sort of this city-like metropolis-like environment. Um, so I like that. I like the style. I like the visual representations of societies within each of the worlds. I liked that. I liked the voice acting. I thought was pretty good. I think the main the lead, the main character's uh, voice actor did a really good job. And I think everything else was pretty solid and pretty well done. Nothing like super exceptional outside of her. The music, I liked some of the music. I don't know how I really feel about it. It's like it didn't it didn't really resonate with me, but I can recognize that the I think the singer, I don't know if the voice actor and the singer were the same. I feel like they might have had different um different people doing it, but I think they also did a pretty good job for the songs and everything. What else? What else did I like about it? There's some moments in the movie where I thought it was kind of like some like funny moments. There was like this. It was like a high school drama situation where there's some gossip going around about how the main character was trying to go on a date with a guy, and so there was like this drama and gossip among these girls, and then they kind of like represented it in like the style of like a Fire Emblem game, where it was just like it was like tactics, and they had to try to convince the other girls in her class or in her school to be like, hey, that's not actually what's going on, and so they had to like flip them to her side or something like that. And I thought that was kind of fun. But so I wish there were like, that was like the only instance they did that. So that was like, it was very unique. It was very funny. I just wish there was a little more consistency with that in other parts. Like they didn't really talk about, it was just sort of like out of the blue, that moment right there. The issue with that is that I just don't know how much it really lended itself to the overarching concept of this movie, because it's dealing much more with virtual reality than it is with like video games. So I don't know. It's just it was a cool little moment, but I enjoyed that. So I mean, I already talked about some of my complaints that I've had with it. Just being the fact that I feel like the story in itself wasn't like the most cohesive, and just elements didn't really fit all that well together. Again, I just the Beauty and the Beast storyline, I understand the point of it. It's just I just didn't feel like it was that well executed. Like that like whole story line was like 10 minutes. Like they did a whole kind of like Beauty and Beast thing, right, where she like goes to like the castle and fucking tries to like um tries to like befriend him in a sense, and it doesn't work the first time around, and then the next time she tries, she sings a song and it kind of works. So it's like that felt like 10 minutes. Like it was just like a very short period of time in the story. And I understood, like I understand where like the director, or like what the direction was for that storyline in alongside Belle's, or Suzu's storyline and her growth as a character. It's just, I just don't know how, it just didn't feel complete. in a sense, and I just didn't, you know, I won't give too much away, but it just didn't feel, a lot of the moments toward like the end of the movie didn't really feel earned to me. Like it just was just, it was like, oh, we kind of need this to happen for, the story to kind of reach its reach its conclusion. It just didn't, it just didn't, it just didn't work for me in particular. I just feel like there were some moments that were kind of missing. Like there were some developmental moments that I kind of needed to actually feel something. It was just like, I don't know exactly what would really make this movie better per se. Um, yeah, it's I'm just like thinking about it right now, because I like the ideas that are presented in this movie about kind of, it's not really a, it's not like a unique concept by any means, but I like, them talking about how certain characters kind of are trying to reach their potential. They're trying to, you know be brave, that sort of thing. Just sort of, I guess, typical with like coming of age movies. It's just it was just a lot, and I think a lot of the side characters don't really get developed in the sense. So you don't really have any, and this is kind of an issue with a lot of anime. I feel like it's just there are a lot of side characters, so you don't have a whole lot of, emotional attachment to any of them aside from the main character. Um, so it's a little difficult to kind of be like, wow, this moment really hit it for me. But again, like, some people reacted that way to certain points in the movie. So I'm not criticizing someone for really loving the movie and feeling like it was a, I don't know, it was emotional for them. It just didn't do it for me in particular. Um, yeah, it's just, I just wish there was a little bit more cohesion. Like there's just a lot that went into this movie. The virtual reality world, I feel, it just I like, for certain things I feel like it worked. Like I think the fact that they didn't give too much on the concept of like world building, lends itself to like you as an audience member being like, filling in like the spaces with like how the world works and everything like that. Like it gives you a little bit more freedom of imagination, but I also feel like it could have helped to kind of tighten that world a little bit more, because like I didn't really understand the concept of the beast's castle. So is this like a thing, like, what do you mean this is hiding? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean this is like a hidden concept? Like, why can't you, like, can you do that in, like, couldn't other people in the virtual reality world do this? Is that like an illegal thing? What was he doing exactly that was like fucking up the system? Like he was disrupting certain things, right? That was like the whole thing. Like I just feel like that was not super well established, maybe. I don't know. It was just a bit, yeah, it just wasn't super tightly knit, and I wish that maybe it was, to kind of give a little bit more, just a little bit more cohesion and understanding on like the world building and everything like that. So yeah. um yeah, again, overall I enjoyed aspects of the movie. I think there were it was a bit like too many cooks. I don't know if this was like a singular vision. Maybe it was. I think it was just too much. Instead of too many cooks, there was like too many ingredients were kind of thrown into it, and it was overall a bit messy in execution. I think if they had focused only on Belle But again, like I think it makes sense to have the Beast character. It's just that I don't know, man. I think there should have been a bit more of like a bit more of a focus on just Belle herself, or Belle and like Suzu herself, and kind of if they wanted to kind of make it a story about her journey and her kind of growth, it would have made a little bit more sense. But yeah, again, beautiful. It's a beautiful movie in terms of just like the animation quality and everything like that. I just think the story and the characters were not as well executed as I would have liked. So that was my, as just as kind of messy as the movie was, that was sort of my messy review of the movie. So yeah, but yeah, I'm happy. I enjoy kind of. I'm happy that it showed around here. I think it's cool that theaters are open to having foreign films around. Because I didn't know anything about this. I was just looking at movies to watch and I just kind of stumbled across it. So yeah, keep doing that if you're able to. Even if you're not going to make money, theaters, just do it for me. All right, just throw in like a random foreign film and I might check it out once in a while. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.